It certainly gets to be a bit of a struggle this time of year. It's not windy this morning, but because it's not windy, it's misty and cold. It was a lot mistier than this. It's clearing a little bit now, but it's still pretty misty. And I'm not feeling at all great, I have to say. But I'm getting around just about. This is another one. I picked this one up at Great Hobbies as well. Considerably less sure whether this was a good idea. The OMX Timber was definitely a good idea. This one, I don't know so much. But, you know, I'd kind of wanted a B-17 for a while. I built a display model of a B-17 a long while ago, and you know, I'd looked at the E-flite one, but it was, I can't remember exactly how much it was, 200 and something and whatever, and anyway, whether it was a good idea or not, who can say, but I went ahead and bought this one. This is what they call EasySky B-17. I bought it, I think it's somewhat similar to the one that HobbyKing used to sell. I don't know if it's the same one. I bought it from Great Hobbies, as I say. It's an odd thing. It has 4 little brushed motors, and you can see they're operating the propellers by gears, and it runs off a 1-cell battery, can you believe? A 500 milliamp hour 1-cell battery. This is the battery that came with it. It's very similar, almost the same to the batteries that with a JST connector that power the Blade 120 helicopter, and I have a number of them. To be honest, I always found they were problematical. They don't hold a charge well, in my experience. I was constantly struggling with the batteries not holding charge for the Blade 120. When I got it, these rods to the tail, that rod to the elevators and that rod to the rudder weren't connected at all. So when I first tried it, the elevators didn't move at all, and I had to reverse the channel for the ailerons. Bound without any problem to my DX9. They said it was you can get it for an extra $10 or so. You can get a little transmitter with it, but I didn't really want their transmitter, and it's supposed to be, it's DSM2, not DSMX. We shall see. I added some lead tape in the front because it was balancing way back of where they said it should balance, so I put some lead tape in the battery compartment alongside the battery. There's not a lot of room to put anything in. We'll have to see if we can get this to work. Okay, it's initialized. The other thing that worries me a bit about it is where you're supposed to put this wire either. Where the heck do they expect you to put this wire? I mean, there's just no room. It's very fiddly trying to get the battery into this, because there's just not much room there. Okay, let's hope that works. The other thing that worried me about it, what I was trying to say, is there's almost no, look at the elevator throw, it's tiny. Well, that's not okay, this is maximum. That's maximum elevator throw. It's a lot lower. The other control surfaces all have quite a full throw, but the elevator throw seems extremely small. So, I don't know. There's various dubiousnesses about this. Oh, and of course, I want to try and get it to take off from the ground if I can with the undercarriage. At least I noticed they've put springs in the middle of the undercarriage, which may help to reduce their tendency to mess up when you land. But I don't know. It's also missing a couple of guns. Mine seems to be missing the guns off the back and the front. I don't know whether they're really supposed to be there or not, but they're not on this one. Oh, it has stabilization, and the stabilization That's minimum, so that's none. That's no stabilization, and that's, quite honestly, I don't know. It seems sort of weird. I don't know. I'm going to leave the stabilization in the middle for now, whatever that means. It's 3-axis stabilization. It's not 6-axis. Let's see if the thing will actually fly at all. I'm a bit dubious about that elevator throw. Maybe we'd better put high rates on. Oh, take throttle cut off would help. Oh, well, it took off. I was a bit dubious about whether it would even take off, but it did.
Mid-rates.
We'll go back to mid-rates for a minute. Still a bit misty, so we don't want to let it go too far away, although I think there's not a much mist in the sky now. Well, it looks nice. I mean, that's the thing about something like this. You're not going to expect to get a lot of fancy flying out of it, really. But it looks nice. It's a B-17. Undercarriage doesn't look very appropriate in scale or whatever. I wonder whether you wouldn't be better you could just hand launch it and fly it without the undercarriage. Then, of course, you've got to worry about damaging
Time remaining 3 minutes.
Well, you've got to worry anyway about damaging the propellers when you land it. Oh yes, I don't expect we're going to get a lot of time off a little battery like that. I just set the timer to 4 minutes, and that seems, they said that's what they said, expect 3 to 5 minutes. And that seems, yeah, you wouldn't expect more than that. It does seem to have a tendency, yes, it definitely has a tendency to self-level. It's not like, it's got that sort of weird stabilization that's neither quite one thing nor the other. It's neither like, it's not really, in terms of spectrum stuff, it's neither AS3X nor safe. It's somewhere sort of in between. Sort of a bit like extremely aggressive AS3X, but I don't know.
Time remaining 2 minutes.
One thing you can say about it is it seems to have enough power for now, so long as all 4 of those motors are working. And they're geared, as I say, the little brushed motors operate. It flies a bit strange. This is, as I say, is about halfway up. You can put the stabilization up more than this. It's just like, it's just like you put it up as a percentage, and you can reduce it to 0. You can turn the stabilization off entirely. Which at the moment I don't think I feel like doing. As I say, I'm not. It's kind of misty, and I'm not feeling very well, so I think it's flying like this, we'll leave it like this. Okay, we'd better think about bringing it into land for what it's worth, I think. Not going to be able to land it on that runner, I don't think. Nope.
Throttle cut off.
Flipped it upside down on landing, not much to my surprise. You tend to flip most microplanes upside down on landing on grass. Although, oops, daisy. No, that's not. It's a piece of grass. It's not. That wasn't a piece of grass. It's the thing off the runway. Well, see now, if we turn the stabilization down to 0, I know. It almost looks as if the way it's working is that it's self-leveling when you put it in the middle. and you put it all the way up, it's compensating. Well, it's still sort of trying to self-level. I don't know what it's trying to do. It actually seems... Oh, I don't know. No, it just seems very aggressively to be, I guess, trying to compensate against anything when you put it all the way up. I don't think you want to put it all the way up. You can turn it off, though. I wonder... I've got other batteries. I'm wondering if I can get it to fly with another battery. I don't know. This is the battery that came with it. This is one of my Blade SR batteries. Now, what was that? We'll try putting it up this time and then turning the stabilization off entirely, briefly at least.
Throttle cut off. High rate.
Bit of a more uneven takeoff, because I started to wander to one side.
Mid-rate.
It's always hard to tell when you've got stabilization on what a plane's really doing, because the stabilization really sort of changes it. Well, yeah, it's tail heavy, I think, actually. The stabilization was compensating for that, but it's tending to be tail heavy with the stabilization off. I did say I put some lead tape in the front, but apparently not enough to balance it out, because I'm having to push it down all the time with the stabilization off. Can it loop? I don't know. Probably. I wouldn't. We haven't got much battery either. It definitely tends to wander around a lot more with the stabilization off, as you'd expect. I don't know whether it will loop, because the thing about it is, yes, it will loop. I wouldn't push it much, though. Now I'm going to put the stabilization back on. The heck with it. Yeah, especially since I don't trust this battery for a lot more. So yeah, with the it can loop.
Time remaining 2 minutes.
And it has a bit of power. I'm surprised how much power it does when you power all those. Well, it has got 4 motors when you power them up. Oops. We're kind of running out of power now, though. And the mist still hasn't really gone. It would be nice if we could land it without tipping it over, but I don't think it's going to happen, probably, because flaming heck, I can't see it. It's still kind of misty. I was having trouble seeing it there. It's silver, of course, which is about the worst possible color you could have to try and see something in mist. Oh, well, we almost managed to... Well, we did sort of manage to stop it tipping over there. You know, really try and push the nose up.
Cut on.
Well, it flies. Whether it was a wise purchase is anybody's guess, but...
Throttle cut off.
Yeah, I don't think you'd ever really get it to run on the grass. I was taking it off
Throttle cut on.
I was taking it off the tar paper runner there. You'd never get it to run on actual grass with that, that's the tar paper runner I was taking it off on. He wouldn't run on grass with these little wheels. So he basically, as soon as he lands, he's going to break up completely because those wheels are just not going to run on grass in any way. But they keep him out of the grass a little bit. I mean, if you took him off and he belly landed in the grass, he'd get a lot wetter in this wet grass. Well, I have to say, it probably flies better than I expected it to from my initial inspection of it. You know, my initial inspection and ground testing of it, I didn't expect it to fly as well as that. So, whether you'd say it flies super well, I don't know, but it flies. And it looks kind of cute, you know. It's not a super accurate scale model of a B-17, but it, you know, you can totally tell it's meant to be a B-17, and it flies not too badly. And, oh, I never did mention the price, did I? I think it was about 145 plus tax or something like that. Actually, not even that. I think it was 142 and change plus tax, I think, for the bind and fly version. And it's like 156 or something for the ready to fly. So they charge you less than $10 for the transmitter if you want the little transmitter. It's a sort of little mini, it's a DSM-2 transmitter, a little mini transmitter, but I had no wish for a little mini DSM-2 transmitter, even for like $7 or whatever, so I just got the bind and fly version, and it was 142 something plus tax. I suppose you can't complain. You know, how long those little one-cell brush motors would last if you fly it a lot outdoors, I don't know, but yeah, as I say, performed better than I initially expected it to, I have to say, but you certainly want to check it out carefully when you bind it, as I say, because when I initially bound it, the ailerons needed reversing, which is no big problem, and the rods connecting the tail surfaces had not been connected at all, so there was no movement at all, and they needed to be connected and then trimmed, of course. Yeah, well, on the whole, that turned out better than I expected.